good day, folks. It's Leon with Lost Creek Wholesale back again and with Matt from Glenbrook Farms. And today we have on one of our good friends, Dan Turner from Ewe Right Farms in central Pennsylvania. And he is also the two times president of KHSI, the Katahdin Association, and also the current president of the PA Sheep and Wool Growers Association. So welcome, Dan. Glad to have you here.
Hey, thanks for the invite.
So very, very last minute. Matt and I were kind of busy the last week or two here, and we didn't have anything scheduled, and we were going to just do a farm report and update of what's happening here at LC Ranch and at Glenbrook Farms. And this morning I was out there moving fence, and I was like, you know what? I was just talking to Dan the other day. We should just get him on. So shot Dan a message, and sure enough, here we are. So
I
why
I
don't you give
can't
us a
bel
little?
I can't believe it took us this long to get Dan on. He's probably offended.
Right. After every podcast, I keep sending you guys an email. Hey, what about me? What about me?
They were going to spam, apparently.
At least you got the good people on first. That's good.
Oh, well, it could be debatable, but hey,
Yeah.
give us a
Well,
little introduction, Dan.
well, interestingly enough, how I met Lynn was at the Pennsylvania Ram test sale years ago, and I bought a ram from the sale that he had put in, and we met each other in the stands. I think I was sitting right behind him and his wife, and he starts to explain to me the NSIP numbers on this ram, and he was doing a terrible job, but I didn't know anything better, so it was just like, oh, there's data on this animal that I have no clue about, because this was, if not the first, it was the second registered Katahdin I ever bought in my life. And I was just getting started. I bet it was 2015 or 16, Leon.
No, it was before that.
Okay. Well, we bought the
Nice.
farm in 2013, so it could have been 14, but that would have been the earliest, 14 or 15.
It
And
had to be 14, probably.
yeah, and then it wasn't long after that whenever we bought the farm, we decided we were gonna do a sheep farm because I had sheep because I had a border collie, and so it's kind of a little odd how we got into it. We can do that another day, but uh, once we decided we were doing sheep, we had a variety of breeds, and then went to Katahdins for the ones that seemed to be doing the best in our situation. And so then we joined Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers. We joined uh, Katahdin Hair Sheep International, and we actually joined the Dorper Association too, because we had some of those. And I really strongly believe in associations, and they've diminished a bit in this modern era of being able to find anything you need to know on the internet. But back in the day, you would go to association conferences, conventions, meetings, and that's where you could learn how to do things, and you would network with all the people. And, that was the best way to learn things. So I'm still a big supporter of associations. That's one of the first things I do when I get into maybe a new enterprise, is look for an association that represents that industry. So anyway, that's kind of how we got started. And then we just started going to these meetings and networking with people, and uh, it's just phenomenal that the relationships you can build when you're face to face. And it's a little slow. It doesn't happen the first year, maybe a little bit more the second year, and then the third year, you start just having friendly conversations with all the people you've met previous. So that's my words of advice for anyone that wants to get started and doesn't know what to do. Join an association, start going to your local meetings.
Yep. I think that's great advice, Dan, especially with, like you said, this digital age where we have access to a lot of information online, but there's still nothing like going to these meetings, getting to know people, just sitting and chatting with them. And man, you just learn so much more that way, as well as, the online thing, looking things up. But those networking opportunities are huge.
And the Katahdin Association does a tremendous job. I mean, I have never And no, I've never been to a Dorper event, but I just like local regional meetings and stuff. I have never been somewhere where the depth and the wealth of information that is shared, like the Katahdin Association does a tremendous job
Yeah.
with the KHSI Expo and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, Katahdins are big on education and big on science. At least a whole big there's a whole contingency of Katahdin folks that are. And I've wondered out loud, did did the Katahdins attract the science-minded people, or is it a coincidence that science-minded people started raising Katahdins? Because you've got some really strong uh, you know, biology oriented folks that are raising Katahdins and really helping to push the genomics, and they were really a big help in when we were first launching, genomics. That was about 4 years ago, right? Whenever we were doing the DNA, we were the first breed to do the DNA. Uh, Actually, I guess that was almost 5 years ago now, and just the wealth of information from people who have, you know, very good science backgrounds. I don't know that you find that in any other breed.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's what's got the Katahdins to where they are, and I think that's what's gonna get the Katahdins to where they're gonna be in 10 years from now. So, yeah, definitely.
That's an interesting thought though, Dan. Like who found who?
Was the cart first or the horse first?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it might have been a coincidence, and it might have started. I hate to put anyone ahead of anyone else, but for the genomics, I'd have to say it was probably Joan Burke that she really loaded the system with all the data for whatever it was, 10,000 sheep or something, and then they started discovering certain attributes with the Katahdins, and then other people started jumping on, and a lot of amateur biology shepherds started to just push this thing, and then it got into the science world, and now I hate this. I don't know for sure, but in the East, most university flocks are going to have Katahdins, and some of them got rid of all their other sheep and only have Katahdins. And I talked to a lady just this down at Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. I think it's Angela Black, and and I'm sure it's not a secret. And she said they used to have another breed, and Susan Shanian talked them into getting Katahdins, and she said, we can do a lot more teaching now that we're not having to take care of the sheep so much. And I thought that was interesting, right? So and you know how it is when you're lambing, a couple sick lambs just suck your time away from you.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
if you're dealing with animals that aren't doing well, you're not doing what you want to be doing or what you should be doing. And that's the way they felt about the teaching part down in Maryland. So anyway, yeah, I see a lot of universities that are really into the Katahdin flocks, and I don't see anyone going away from them.
Yep. It's a good sales point for Katahdins.
Oh yeah, and I happen to raise Katahdins.
So reach out to Dan if you wanna get into these miracle sheep.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem with me is I'm surrounded by Matt on my east and Leon on my west, and so yeah, you got to drive past both those guys to get to me.
We got you coming and going.
Yep.
So where should we take this conversation first, Dan? Do you want to talk first about your involvement with KHSI?
Yeah, that would be good. I've been on the board now for 5 years. I was president like 2 years ago, and then some things changed, and another president was elected, and then I think we needed to move forward, and I do have a reputation as and a quote from one of the board members. Dan just wants to change everything. Well, I think there's a lot of room for change, or a lot of room for improvement. So if there is, as strong as the organization is and as good as we do, you can't just stay still. You've the time to be innovative is while you've got momentum. And I did want to make some changes, and I really wanted to push for the new registry. We didn't know what that looked like when I was president the first time. I just wanted to start a discussion and a movement towards a new registry. We just weren't getting service the way we should have been. And so then we did start a registry committee, and we determined that we wanted to go to a digital registry. So we did a lot of work. I mean, for the people that are now just getting on and using digital Katahdin, they're like, wow, this is cool. This just happened in the last, 2 weeks. It's like, no, this happened in the last 24 months, man.
That's me.
Uh, yeah. It the amount of work that the KHSI board, and then we formed the Digital Katahdin Committee, and then we had a point team out of that committee, and there were 4 of us on that point team, and we did a lot of the heavy lifting of the, beta testing, and then we were interfacing with the people that we bought it from, which is Digital Beef. And so the way this platform works, and I ran into a lot of naysayers, people that just thought we were, gonna ruin KHSI, and I don't blame people for being conservative and that sort of thing, but, admittedly, I'm not the best sheep guy. I'm kind of a facilitator guy, but I do have a bunch of sheep. The worry was that, if the registry went down, then you lose your breed association, right? I mean, that's basically what we do is we register sheep for people. We qualify sheep as registered. And so I was getting a lot of people thought that I wanted to start a registry, and it's like, no, I want to like manage a registry or administrate a registry. We don't want to have the registry. So Digital Beef already has the registry. And as a matter of fact, Digital Suffolk was started about 2 years ago. So Digital Beef, and that came from Digital Beef. So there was already a platform in place, but Katahdins are special. So we needed to change that platform a little bit. And we rent that platform. It's a subscription base. So we pay so much a year to Digital Beef. And then we have Brenda, who's our digital Katahdin administrator. So she's a private contractor, and we've hired her to administrate it. And she's a wonderful lady, very astute. And that process itself, whenever we went out and said, "Hey, we would like to get, we're hiring for this position," we had over 50 applicants. So picture how the committee had to boil those 50 applicants down, to maybe the top 10. And then we, discussed the top 10. Then we interviewed, I think, the top 5. And we used, we all used a matrix to grade them. And then, just quite the process. And we learned a lot of things along the way. And meanwhile, while we were doing that process, we were already contracted with Digital Beef and doing the testing and having those guys developing the software, specific for us. Everything came together well. I think we had a target date of April 1, and we really went live April 22. And checking in with Brenda, there's been no major train wrecks. So, we are coming into show season where there's a lot of registrations, but the thing is that I don't know why there was so much opposition. I think it was fear of the unknown, which is, don't change anything. Everything's okay the way it is. I get that. But this platform gives you access to all your sheep on a mobile device and on a PC right through this. And it's called a registry program, but it's way, way more than that. So you can almost manage your entire flock just on this software. And it's basically available to you so conveniently. Now you don't have to have spreadsheets and using, maybe you're using Flock Filer or Herd Manager or whatever it is, and maybe it's not all tied together. Well, this also includes NSIP. You can put photographs of your sheep on there. You can even make your own sale catalog off of this thing. It is so convenient. Every animal has its own QR code. You just hang that on your pen and someone can scan that QR code and it takes you right to the registry page where all the data is. So it's a very powerful tool. And so this actually gives people a way to access their flock very similar to the way this NSIP people access their flock, because with NSIP, you guys know, man, we've got our whole flock on our phone and we can look our animals up anytime we want. That was a big deficit, I think, for your general person not in NSIP. Now they can do the same. It's been fantastic, I think.
Yeah.
Do you see that changing, or do you see NSIP being incorporated into this more, like, going forward in a different way than what it is right now?
I don't think so. It's embedded. It's like it's already, if you're in NSIP and you want to use it, it's right there available for you on this DK platform. If you're not in NSIP, then you don't need to do anything about that. It's available if you want it, not if you don't.
Dan, am I correct that the NSIP data is not being imported into digital Katahdin yet?
I don't know the answer to that. I haven't been I'm still using my old platforms more. And so yeah, okay, that gives me something I need to look into, right?
Yeah.
Uh
On
so
I was on an NSIP, Katahdin NSIP meeting that we talked about that, and I think the consensus was they're gonna wait, make sure we don't have any major train wrecks with just registering sheep, then we're gonna start importing the data. So if you go on there now, the NSIP boxes are there for the data, but there's no data there yet.
yeah, and some
Okay.
folks have already developed that process, so I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to be difficult for us. And that is true. We're not trying to roll out all of the features at first, since it is known as a registry. Let's just get the registry down at this point.
Mm.
And Brenda's feeling pretty comfortable with that. But it's amazing at how many questions you can still get. Like I co-owned a RAM with somebody, and he wasn't in my database, so I couldn't claim him as the sire. So she had to go in and fix stuff like that. Just it's a variety of stuff that little nuances that that the admin needs to learn, or just tweak things. But Digital Beef has been working very well with us. Like if you find a glitch, you call them up,
Mm.
boom, the next day you fire up your computer, it's fixed. It's just they've been very supportive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome platform. I've used it. I've registered a bunch of sheep here in the last week on it. Getting back to that sires, so um if I were to borrow a ram from you, you can go online there and put in a ram lease agreement, and you can put the time limit. The time limit that I've agreed to lease this ram to Matt, and then I can register lambs out of that sire in that time limit, or that where the breeding was in that time limit. So it's very user friendly in that way. I haven't used it yet, but my understanding is also that we can, if I was to buy semen on a ram, all that the person that I'm buying from has to do is go on there, record that I bought semen on this ram, and now I can register lambs off of them. Um, Pretty awesome platform for what I've seen.
Yep. And if you're not into using a computer, feel free to keep doing it the same old way. There's papers. You can fill the papers out, put a check in the envelope with the forms, and just mail them into Brenda, and she'll punch it in for you. So, and she'll mail you back a registration if you want it. One of the cool things about this is that you don't need to even print a registration paper anymore. You scan that QR code, it basically takes you right to the registration page.
Mm.
So if you sell that animal, a minute later, I can scan that QR code. And since you sold it and you already transferred it, the QR code is up to date. You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
need to wait
That
2 weeks, 3 weeks to get a piece of paper.
And
that's really cool.
the registration process is instant. So when you go online, you register an animal, that animal is now registered. It's not, like you said, a couple week process. It's instantaneous. I had an instance where I was registering some animals, and I found out there was a dam that I hadn't registered yet. I'd missed it. I could register that dam, and then I didn't do it yet, but I was told I can register the lamb to that dam instantaneously after the work is submitted on the dam. So that'll be super cool, because seems it always catches me when I go to register lambs. It's like, oh, this young dam was never registered yet. So now I gotta wait, gotta send that paperwork in, wait till I get it back, and then I can send the paperwork in on the lamb. Well, that's a couple week process. This is all instant. So
Yeah, I even did one. Same thing. I had to go a generation back. I have a grandson that's going to show some of my sheep this year. So this is going to be the
That's
first
cool.
time I've ever been involved in a sheep show, right? And yeah, I found one, and shoot, man, it needed a hair code inspection. And here it is, the same day we need to go and take these sheep and have, turn in the papers. And I need a hair code inspection. I email Brenda the hair code inspection form. She clicks the box, and I'm able to register that ram that same afternoon then. And I'm like, that was just incredible. And she gets flustered if she's 2 or 3 days behind. So, she's keeping up pretty well. Uh, and I kind of felt a little bad. Like, did she do that because it was me? And as a matter of fact, she did it before noontime even. And her office hours, I think, start at noon, but she's working a lot of hours to make sure this is a good transition for us. And can't wait for everyone to meet Brenda. She is a big advocate of Katahdin. She thinks KHSI is a tremendous organization that is really striving to move forward. And she's her background is marketing, and her life experience is sheep. So she's got a lot to bring to us. So anyway, yeah, Digital Katahdin, excellent program. I think KHSI, excellent association. And we're going to keep moving forward. We've got the expo and sale coming up here in August, beginning in Indiana. Marty Carlson's working on that. She's really a detail person, and spends a lot of time and effort and passion to get that expo together. And then we've got all the regional groups, EAPK, and you've got the Tex Cats and Mo Cats and Rocky Mountain and Coalfield. I got to keep going, because if I miss somebody, somebody's going to complain. Just anyway, the regional groups are a great way.
The Southern group. What's the
Yeah,
Southern?
Southern. Yeah, there you go. The SCKA and South Central.
Yeah.
So, KHSI puts money into those guys every year. We support that. And so they have their meetings. So some people can make the regional group meetings, but they can't make the expo. And so, we believe strongly in that networking, and we're going to continue to support that and try and build those regional groups. If I have my say. If I stay president, maybe I shouldn't say that, but anyways, we'll see what happens. This every year, there's another vote in August. So we'll see how that goes. And you never have an inkling hardly until that day. So I didn't know I was going to be reelected president until 2 days before the expo. I didn't know I was running for president until I was driving out there, and I got a phone call, and I looked at my wife, and she just looked out the window and was like, "Oh, gee." So anyway, that's but I think it was the right thing to do again. I really wanted to push this Digital Katahdin. I wanted to make it happen quickly. A lot of people were saying, yes, let's do Digital Katahdin, but they didn't want to bring it in until the end of 2025. And I saw no value in waiting. I saw this as a benefit for the membership. We've got the capability to do it. Let's do it. Why not? And so, yeah, I like to make things happen, if it's, especially whenever I strongly believe in it, and I've got enough other people that strongly believe in it. So anyway, we'll put Digital Katahdin to bed if that's okay with you guys, and KHSI, and I'd love to move on to Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers Association.
So yes, Dan, let's talk a little bit about your involvement there with as the president of the Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers Association.
Matt Nolt's wife, Katie, or yeah, Matt is the husband of Katie, let's put it that way, who is our secretary for Pennsylvania. I've been the president of that for about a year and a half. And it's totally interesting, different in a different way because for Pennsylvania, I embrace all sheep, not just hair sheep, right? So wool, I'm into the wool, I'm into the fiber. Man, I'm even into sheep snuggling, right? Uh,
Wait. We need to back up there.
oh,
Did,
yeah.
did you say smuggling or snuggling?
Yeah, I'll leave the smuggling to some of the other people that we have thought about.
Let's talk some about the 2 events you have coming up this summer. So we have the field day here at my farm, LC Ranch in Union City, Pennsylvania. That's coming up in a couple Saturdays. That would be June 7th. And then we also have Sheep and Wool Festival in Dayton, PA, Dayton Fairgrounds. And that date is October 11 through 12. So those are two events that are happening that I'm sure you're working on now. Let's hear a little more about those events.
Yeah, and Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers we're going to be doing a field day up at Union City on June 7th. That's coming up pretty soon. That's going to be at LC Ranch, which is Lee and Gaiman's. So that's going to be like the northernmost activity that we've ever done. If you want to get to Leon's, go to Western PA, then drive to Canada, make a U-turn, and you're there. So, okay, it's not quite that far.
Hey, do you know why the shepherd got a ticket when he was taking his sheep through town?
Why?
He had an illegal U-turn.
I hadn't heard that one before. So, bum. Thank you, Leon. So we're gonna do a field day. Austin Brown is the Penn State Small Ruminant Associate, and that's a relatively new position. It hasn't been filled in Pennsylvania for like 25 years. So he's been, helping to organize some of these things, just like Eli and McKenzie just had a field day out in the eastern part, just north of Harrisburg, and Austin helped to get that program, established. And so I'm sure he's helping with you, Leon, that we're going to have some educational sessions there at your place. I'm not even sure what all the programs are because I'm not involved in planning that. Just that every meeting that we have monthly meetings. We always talk about it. Okay, do you have this person? Do you have that person? And it sounds like he's got a good lineup of presenters coming in. And so these are new people. So, the people that I hear at most places, I've heard somewhere before. But this time there's some new people. So, that's going to be exciting. To get more people involved in the Pennsylvania sheep industry is good. So what's your thoughts on how you doing, Leon? Are you getting the farm cleaned up? Everything getting ready?
My 5-year-old was asking me just last night. He said, "So when are we going to clean the barn up?" And I said, "Well, we're going to have to something we're going to have to work on the next couple Saturdays." But yeah, I'm excited about it. I feel like this is a dead zone up here there's actually a decent bit of sheep in northwestern Pennsylvania, even as far south, like down to Mercer. And sounds like there's going to be some folks coming down from New York, some from Ohio. So he kind of has the program centering a little bit around grazing. Gabe Francisco is going to do a talk on grazing. He's from the Michigan Conservation District, a grazing specialist. Tom Perkins going to talk about grazing some. So really, I should just run down over the agenda the way Austin has it mapped out for the day. So Saturday, June 7th, registration networking, 8:30. Pasture fertility, 9 a.m. Then we have a small ruminant management inputs. We have an unconventional pasture plant additions and identification. Boy, that sounds interesting there. I always like to see diversity in my pasture. We'll have lunch, and if you pre-register, you're guaranteed a lunch, and you get a better deal on your enrollment fee. If you do not pre-register, you might not get a lunch. And those of you that would like to register and would like a phone number, get your pen and paper ready because I will give you contact information here to to register when I'm done going over this program for the day. Then after lunch, we have talk on managing parasites in your grazing system, how do sheep get internal parasites, how to utilize FAMACHA scoring, strategic deworming and prevention practices, fecal egg count floats, what are they and how are they done? Then we have a topic on developing a rotational grazing plan for optimal pasture and flock production. 2:30, we'll have a break and networking opportunity. After that, we're going to do a pasture walk. And on that pasture walk, there will be some practice FAMACHA scoring animals for their parasite load. And we'll do that utilizing a sheep handling system. And we'll also learn how here at LC Ranch, how we manage our grass with our sheep and with varied fencing practices and strategies. What we can look at the temporary fencing I use, etc. And then to wrap up the pasture walk with the grazing specialist that can take a deep dive into any of the questions and stuff that people might have. So really looking forward to the meeting. It's always interesting. There's always new things you can learn when you get together with a group like this. So if you do want to register for the event, I have a phone number here you can reach out to. You can reach out to Austin at 814-865-1718, or you can send an email to him at aqb5615@psu.edu. That's aqb5615@psu.edu. If you have interest in coming, feel free to reach out to him and he can get you registered. I think it's also great that we can bring a sheep event into this area. So Austin Brown grew up in the area just south of here, and from what he says, there used to be more sheep events in the area. I think his parents were even at one point or were maybe instigators of some of those things that happened here. So yeah, I'm excited about the program.
And I think that's one of our goals now is we've got this network of people in Pennsylvania, just like yourself. So let's spread this, let's spread our events around. Let's spread our resources around. So people will be able to come to your field day that aren't going to be able to drive to Bedford for the annual meeting, right? So
Right.
that's okay. Let's take and give them some value for their membership. And realistically, once we leave your place, our our investment in that day is not over, because what happens from that point, our goal will be to network people together so that they will continue to benefit from that experience, even if it's just between each other, or they're going to know, me or Melanie or Austin or Matt if he's going, and now we've got conduits between more people than we had before. And I was fascinated at my field day, and Lee, and just make sure you might want to do this. I didn't do it at mine last year. Is that at the beginning we didn't introduce people and say, "What are your interests?" And partway through the day, I had a lady come up to me, and she's a lovely lady, Catherine, very helpful and supportive. And I've introduced her now to Katie because Katie's into milk sheep. I want nothing to do with milk sheep, right? Uh, but I'm so fascinated by these people that are passionate about it. And Leon, you're probably still milking sheep up there, and I had sheep milk when I was at your place years ago. But now I've started connecting milk sheep people together. I've got fiber people, that came to my field day and wanted to talk to other fiber people. And so if you can do that at the beginning, then people can eyeball and say, I want to talk to that person during lunch. And it's fascinating for me to find out that, there are people who can't stay long because they got to go milk their sheep in the afternoon or whatever. Uh, and and then after the field day was over, I know we made connections with people because I still hear about it that, they might send me a text and say, "Hey, I was just talking to so and so," and ding 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 ding. And I'm like so happy that we were able to give that person another resource or another friend, uh, and that's what this is about. Really, I mean, in life, we can be all goal oriented, but let's have some fun along the way. But uh, we're going to have for the first time, we're going to have the Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Festival, which is very exciting. It's going to be out in Dayton, Pennsylvania, out almost in Leon territory. Uh, it's just west of Punxsutawney, and everyone knows where Punxsutawney is, northeast of Pittsburgh by about an hour, a little over an hour, maybe. So that is fascinating because I got a flyer one day in my email from this group from Smicksburg, which is just outside Dayton. And I've never heard of any of these towns before. I didn't know Pennsylvania had a Dayton. So uh, this flyer says they're going to do a sheep and wool festival or a wool festival. And I'm like, what? You know, I'm president of Pennsylvania. I should know if there's a wool festival going on because, everyone's beating me up on wool prices. They want to be able to sell their wool. What am I doing about wool? And so I thought, well, if we can support a festival, maybe that'll be good. And so I wrote back, checked in with these ladies, and said maybe Pennsylvania would be interested in working with them. And they got excited, and we were able to get that past the board. The board contributed a large amount of money to making this Sheep and Wool Festival happen October 11th and 12th. The two ladies, I'll give them a shout out, Deanna and Jody. Like Deanna and I are supposed to be co-chairs of this festival, but in reality, Jody and Deanna are owning this thing, man. They are working, daily to line up vendors and get demonstrations, and they work to get the Dayton Fairgrounds, and we all met there, and then had a meeting afterwards, and it's a nice facility. It's in the middle of nowhere, which hopefully people can come from somewhere to get there. Uh, there's one lady coming out of Pittsburgh that said, you know what, I want to get a busload of people, so she's trying to drum up people to, get a bus. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's get 3 buses. We've got vendors already signing up, and, and so it's just phenomenal. And I'm working. So we've kind of split it up that Jody and Deanna are doing uh, the fiber side kind of, and I'm doing the sheep side. So then I'm working with people to do the sheep presentations or demonstrations and educational sessions. Going to do a sheep show. Me and Maddie are going to be co-chairs of the sheep show. And like I said, I've never even been to a sheep show yet. So we'll have to figure that out. And hopefully it stays a sheep show. Uh, then what we also have a lady, Heidi, who volunteered to do a breed pavilion and the breed parade. I'm like, what? She's like, oh yes, I really want to do that. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, but we're finding people. It has been such a fascinating experience for me. The people I'm meeting that are volunteering to do things, they're passionate about fiber. I mean, they're fiber fanatics out there, which is really stimulating. There's also then these people that are passionate about sheep and they just want to promote sheep, and so it's coming together. I'm pretty excited about it. We're going to have at this point we're having Nick Forrest come in and do some lamb cooking. We're going to be having a shearing demonstration, working on having a dog herding trial there as well. Pennsylvania, the NEBCA, Northeast Border Collie Association, has said that they'll do a trial there. So there's going to be lots of stuff to see. The concession stand is going to be selling lamb burgers. It's just, then there's an art exhibit going on. So there's lots of, a variety of stuff for everybody. And, it's just going to be totally, it's a first year to do it. So we're nervous, but, whatever it is, it is. And we're happy to bring something like that to Pennsylvania. So that's huge, and consumes a decent amount of my time. Last night I was on till like midnight trying to get the online payment set up. And I do finally have an online payment button on the Pennsylvania page. So yeah, all this kind of stuff doesn't just magically happen. There's lots of volunteers, and like here I am being somewhat of the IT guy, which is not where I like to live at, but I accept challenges and try to get things done. So persistence kind of helps you achieve certain things, even though it may not be the most time effective way to do it. But anyway, I'm doing that. So Pennsylvania also, I know I'm rattling and people don't want to hear me talk all the time, but uh Pennsylvania has got some fascinating things going on. We're going to be doing well right now. The RAM test is underway at State College Animal Evaluation Center. So, there's like 30 some Katahdins, I think, or 30 some sheep, put it that way, and probably 20 some Katahdins that are in that. So everybody should start paying attention and thinking about that because the sale will be coming up. I'm not sure if we got a sale date yet or not, but that's coming up. And then we're going to be having a booth at the Ag Progress Days. And there's also some sheep that'll be there a little bit different than what it was last year. Then we're having our annual meeting will be out in Bedford County. We've been moving that around. A couple of years, it was just always up in State College. Last year, we moved it to Lebanon, had about 40 people show up, which was big for us. We're moving it to Bedford this year, hoping that we get another 40, 50 people. And if we move it around the state, then we should, be able to help everybody and provide all our membership a benefit. One other thing, while I'm thinking about it, that whenever I started to get involved in this sheep and wool festival, I started finding out, oh, there's other festivals in Pennsylvania already. Like I'm really into fiber now. I'm not going to start knitting and crocheting at meetings in public or anything. But so, we're all trying to promote more use of wool and more effective and financial gain from sheep. So if we can sell the lamb and we can sell the wool, now you've got a better uh, business model. So, I'm on the outside just trying to get up to speed a little bit. And I'm in no way a fiber expert or a fleece expert, but I'm just trying to facilitate the people that want to do this activity and the people that want to buy natural fibers, something that's made from natural fibers versus the synthetics. And so, promoting the use of wool and it's just for me, it's just been mind blowing. You talk to one person, they introduce you to another, and it just starts spreading. So I think the enthusiasm is out there, and and people say, "Dan, this is great. You bring a lot of energy to it," and it's like I just get excited, and I just do what I do, and I try to encourage other people and motivate other people, and I'll help other people however I can. And I've also said I think working in the associations is almost more fun than raising sheep. Uh, but I enjoy it because they're good people. So that's what I do.
Yeah. So, they say a rising tide lifts all ships. And even though you say the wool aspect is never going to come back like it was, I think it's cool that you're tying in that lamb, doing that sampling and stuff and promoting the meat side of things too. Because uh, you know that in Australia, they literally have eat lamb commercials. Like, when did you last see one of them or hear one of them?
Yeah, like never.
Like promoting, I mean, we see the signs, got milk, promoting the dairy industry, that kind of stuff. But when did you last see anything promoting lamb consumption in the United States?
Yeah. The American Land Board gets $2 million a year, or ASI, I think it's $2 million a year. The American Land Board does have a checkoff, but their budget is probably, in that range as well. Whereas you look at beef, chicken, pork, they just dwarf the lamb industry.
So I have an interesting. This is a fun discussion. Uh, why do we want to promote a product? Why do we want to spend our money promoting a product that over 70% of the product that gets consumed in the U.S. now is imported? So, and we're not exporting hardly anything. So, I mean, it's I get it. We want to promote lamb, but at the same time, we're promoting something that we're not meeting the needs of already, the needs that are out there. So I don't know. I always like to throw that in there.
Yeah.
No comment. I thought I'd get a good pushback or discussion or something.
He's still thinking. Still thinking.
Well, I mean, well, I don't. I thought he was asking Leon. I was just waiting. Uh, so yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of lamb imported. It's mostly coming from New Zealand and Australia. And what gets me is, a while back Leon, you were actually seeing ads, or at least board ads, you know, I don't let's whatever restaurant it was serving Australian lamb, almost making it sound like it was better than American lamb. Uh,
But it's not.
it's no, well, yeah,
Just so we're clear.
yeah. We say ours is 10,000 miles pressure, Uh, and so, the difference there though, I think, is that one, they're set up, their environment, uh, is set up for sheep. I mean, it's a natural place for raising a bunch of sheep. And since they've been doing it for so long, as is the UK, because what else are you going to graze on those hillsides? Scotland, the UK, and so they've got the infrastructure to deal with these animals at a very economical rate. Whenever we're processing those animals and we're paying $120 per carcass to have it processed and wrapped and vacuum packed, uh, that's a big chunk. If we have 30 pounds, we just spent $4 a pound just in the packaging. And now we need to make money for our feed, our time, and everything else we put into it. So American lamb can and is more expensive because they're probably paying $30 an animal to process or something like that. So, but as we're starting to now see, more targeted grazing going on, now we're putting animals in places we're putting sheep in places that other species aren't nearly as good for. So there is going to be an increase in sheep. Hopefully, there's an increase in infrastructure, and at that point, there should also be a decrease in price. And then lamb is going to become more popular. And You guys both know that we bought a jerky company out in Dayton that did beef. And now we're doing our own lamb. I always wanted to do value added with lamb. So I consider it a gateway food. It's like everyone likes jerky and they'll try lamb jerky. And honestly, it's mostly the flavorings that you taste, not necessarily the lamb. But I've got a lot of people that are like, you know what? I really love the lamb texture over the beef. Some of us don't really even eat our own lambs because we're eating our profits. But I found lamb is awesome. So, when my wife cooks lamb for me, it's a special treat. And I just gnaw it off the bone, man. It is good stuff. So, and maybe you've never had lamb right. Maybe it's been overcooked. Maybe it's been an older one. Maybe you're getting the heavy lanolin tainted flavored meat, that's a little strong. And that's where the Katahdins come in at and say, we're a milder flavor meat. That is what we use in our jerky. And basically that's what I eat most of the time. But, I think we've got the opportunity to bring that lamb population back up, especially in the eastern part. And it used to be that the internal parasites were what were really keeping farmers from being profitable with sheep in some of these climates. Now with Katahdins and the parasite resistance that we've been really working towards, you're seeing more sheep being raised in non-traditional areas. So I think it's got potential, at least in the East Coast. And whether they're going to put many cats, they have been putting cats out on the range. They've done some experiments with that. It's just that you don't find big flocks of Katahdins. Now we've got people down in Texas that are coming up with huge flocks, almost 10,000 ewes. It's all of a sudden somebody's going to turn around there's a lot of Katahdins in the United States.
Yeah.
And we can show it on the registry, we can show it in NSIP, but there are commercial flocks out there that you're never going to see in NSIP or the registry that have thousands of head. And this targeted or solar grazing is helping with that for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I was distracted. I kept thinking we need to talk about how good Lamb is in front of Leon so that he gets the point of how good Lamb really is.
Yeah, that last sheep meeting I was at, like, who was the guy that did the cooking that time? Was it, Forrester guy?
Nick Forrest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Forrest. So he's, like, telling us all about what he's cooked up for lunch and everything, and he asked for a raise of hands, "Who likes lamb?" Or who no, he said, "Who eats lamb?" And so, of course, I put my hand up along with everybody else, and, Nick's like, "Oh, that looks good," and Dan turns around and's like, "Leon, did you raise your hand?" I'm like, "Hey, you didn't say, 'Do you like lamb?' You ask if you eat lamb. Of course I eat it." And, like, I really want to like it. It's kinda like me and tomatoes, like, I wanna eat tomatoes, they look so good, and actually, I'm learning to like tomatoes, I'm about took how many years, but the
Great.
lamb was good that day. I was over at the Buckeye Symposium this winter, and they served, leg of lamb and maybe it was a shoulder roast or something, 2 different ways, and it was really good. And I had a customer that got one of my lambs processed, and I told him, I said, "Hey," it was actually a neighbor here, and I said, "I'll swap you a couple, packs of steak if they got the whole lamb." I said, "I just want, like, a couple packs to try again." And so I have some in my freezer right now. So,
Yeah, there you go.
So you're learning to like
we're gonna try it again. We're gonna try it again.
I didn't know what leg of lamb was like. And to me, leg sounds tough. Uh what I didn't understand is it is one of the most tender, best textured. And I'm not, Nick would know for sure, but there's like three different muscles at least. There's probably 10 in that leg, but some of them are just like perfect. And the key is don't overcook it. It's like venison. You overcook that, you're gonna have a tough time getting through it. So there's not a lot of the marbling. There's not a lot of fat in there, so you can't overcook it. You want it a nice pink, juicy center, and honestly, a leg on a smoker is unbelievable, man.
Mhm.
So I should do one on my green egg.
Yep. You should.
Yep.
I
Yep.
need
And
to
put your
figure out
put your thermometer in there. Don't let her get up too high, dude. Like like 145, I think is the go for temperature. Keep her
yeah.
juicy.
Yep.
Love a leg.
Dan, I know we're running out of time. I would like to circle back to the PA Sheep and Wool Growers Association a little bit, um, and talk to us a little bit. Our audience is largely commercial producers. Talk to us a little bit of maybe the overarching um, goal of the PA Sheep and Wool Growers Association, and maybe I should say just how they're connected to the American Sheep Industry Association and why people should support their state associations, and which in doing that they're also supporting the American Sheep Industry Association. Can we touch on that, the benefits to commercial producers to that these associations are bringing to them, whether they're members or not, and why they should be members?
Uh, I'm sorry, Matt. I wasn't listening. Can you repeat that? No.
To give us a spiel why the commercial
Yeah,
producer
I
should
got
be
it. I got it.
joining the association,
Yeah.
as well
You
as,
have
I
to.
mean, we have listeners all over the US, so as well as the other, most states have their own associations.
Yeah, and honestly, if the first part of your question, I think, was let's just look at it like why should they be part of the Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers Association? My best answer to that, just being a member of Pennsylvania, is because you're supporting an association that supports your industry or something that's important to you. And we are going to provide more exposure for that product that you are raising, and we're going to help promote that product and bring it more to the public awareness, just like we're doing at Elizabethtown Fair, just like we do at the booth at Ag Progress Days. We're going to be promoting consumption of lamb, just like we do at the farm show. So we are helping to promote the consumption of your product, and we're going to help you network if you are looking for other people to get connected with. Like even with the solar grazing, we have people contacting us and saying, do you know anyone that lives in this area, or anyone that has a flock like this, or anyone that has land? So we're not trying to in any way step on the American Solar Grazing Association, but we're trying to work in conjunction with them to provide people the best use of their land and their sheep that we can. So, and they might be like, well, that's still not good enough. That's fine. So the second part of yours, as you pointed out, is that as a member of Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers Association, you are also a member of the American sheep industry. You will get our newsletter from Pennsylvania, which comes out every month, 2 months, or 3. And you also get the monthly American Sheep Industry News. And you're like, okay, well, that catalog's interesting. There's a lot of stuff going on out in Western United States. But the American sheep industry is lobbying for the sheep industry. That's a big part of what they do, is they watch the regulations. They help encourage certain legislation, and are in there trying to always represent the sheep industry whenever there's money going into the farm bill, or if money is trying to be cut out of the farm bill. They're in there voicing the needs of the shepherds and commercial producers. We do meet in Washington once a year. We just did that, I think, early March, where we go and we go around and visit our legislators and try to convince them that they should pay attention to the sheep industry and provide funding for that. And you might be like, well, yeah, I'm not a big guy for Washington, so I don't care. Well, the medications that you're using for those sheep, that is important that you understand. Some of those are off label because there's no money going into research for, medications for sheep, but we're trying to promote more of that. We're arguing that we should be able to have some of the same access to the same medications, maybe the same type of dewormers that they have in Australia. It's no fair if they've got some silver bullets that we're being told we can't use, and we've got to still, use a pocket knife to try and, keep our sheep healthy. There's things that the governments do in Australia, New Zealand, that give those producers a leg up because we aren't a very large part of the consumption, of protein. So, there's way more medications for pork, chicken, and beef, and sheep. You've got to go to your veterinarian, and they're like, well, this is off label, so here's what we're going to have to do. And so anyway, yeah, I think there's so much more that people don't understand. They just take for granted that things should happen for them, and they don't understand who's out there fighting for them for the rights to do what it is they're doing and to get the tools that they're doing. It's all, it's just deeper and deeper and deeper. There's people out there that are developing plans for the secure sheep and wool supply. That means, and people use the word, and they say, when foot and mouth disease hits the United States, which someday it most likely will, there's going to be just a scurry of activity, and there's people already planning all this out. To, if it hits here, what are we going to do? If it hits there, what are we going to do? What do we do down to the farm level? all these things are being planned by people in the American sheep industry that most of us don't care about. I surely didn't care about it. I didn't even like scrapey tags when I first had to put them on. Oh, there's a government coming in my farm. They're getting in my barn. Well, that's a good thing, because if we can eliminate scrapie, which the American sheep industry is working hard to do, then we can start exporting our sheep, and that brings our value up for the sheep as a whole. So, this stuff doesn't just happen. It's being worked on, and a lot by volunteers. Like, we don't have the paid staff in ASI to do all this stuff. So, there are some really good, sharp people out there that are passionate about this, and I sit in some of those meetings. Yeah, I'm kind of tapped out, but uh, I just applaud the people that spend the energy and their intellect on helping the American sheep industry to survive, thrive, and plan ahead. So yeah, please, for $35, join Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers Association. Also become a member of American Sheep Industry. And you know what? Just keep doing that year after year. And now on our website, there's a buy it now button. So there you go. And we are pasheep.com. So I hope that answers your question. I'm glad you brought that up, Matt, because really, uh, $35. Come on.
Yeah. And it gets you two magazines.
A newsletter and a
It
magazine.
gets you your newsletter in the ASI magazine.
Yep.
Yeah, and it helps pay my salary as president of Pennsylvania Sheep.
There, you got it.
And it helps pay the secretary. So there you
Yeah. I'm still waiting to see that check.
yeah. Yeah, and thanks to Katie so much for volunteering. We got Greg as the treasurer, and he's got a wealth of knowledge. So, it's a good board. We're looking for people with ideas that also want to help. And then we can just Pennsylvania can inject some resources into it, whether that's, mostly it's in the way of education, providing someone to help do it or whatever. And now the program's off and running. So, yeah, I'm just excited about all the fascinating, exciting, interesting people I've been meeting, because that's really what it's about, right? It's not the destination, it's the path. And if all we want to do is raise sheep, you might be missing a very wholesome part of life, Not now you got philosophy from me as well. Why do I do this? I think it gives people a better life, man.
And the networking thing is tremendous. I know I always come away from those meetings, like, if you're not learning something, like, you're in a stalemate.
You
And the networking things, the conversations that are had leaning over the gate with another sheep farmer, th I think they're tremendous. Whether it's at the Katahdin Expo or at a field day, the people you meet, the connections you have, like, it's just you can learn a tremendous amount.
And I say, along with what you said there, in business, I say, if you're not growing, you're dying. So, where do you want to be? And you can do sheep into your old age. I'm proof of that. So
I was gonna bring that up.
yeah. That's like, yeah, look at Dan. He's our poster grandpop. Instead of a poster child, he's the poster grandpop. Uh, so, uh, uh, and what's interesting about hair sheep, back to KHSI, I know guys that are in their 80s that used to have woolies who were, dyed in the woolies, that have changed to Katahdins because they love raising sheep, but they can no longer put the effort in for shearing, and they just don't need that extra hassle. And I find that very comforting, that Katahdins are helping those people to do what they love without a physical burden. And that to me is a true testament, to part of the Katahdin, a wholesome side of what Katahdins are doing for people.
That makes growing old look easy,
There you go. I think the other thing is to trim down to less than a couple hundred ewes.
But then again, you only do chores at what, twice a week or what?
Yeah, yeah. I only go out in the barn and turn the lights off that my help left on. That's about what I do.
Well,
Uh,
the next time we have you on, Dan, we're gonna have to hear more about your farm and hear more about how you got into sheep, because that's quite the funny story every time you tell the story of how you got into sheep. So we'll have you on another time to hear more about your farm and what led you on this journey of discovering the benefits of sheep.
Yeah. We'll wait till we have another last minute thing and we'll just say, hey, I just tried Dan this morning. Hey, Dan, you want to do a podcast in 30 minutes? Sure.
Well, in 30 minutes for an hour and a half. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. Good luck shortening this thing down to a reasonable length.
It was all
no.
it was all good stuff. We'll put the whole thing on and lots of good information.
Yeah.
See how many people drop off at minute 15.
All right. Well, thanks.
Hey,
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you for doing this for the sheep industry. So, this isn't easy. It sounds like it is for you guys to just sit there and, chaw back and forth on a microphone. But you know what? It takes effort, it takes discipline, and it takes passion from your end. So, thanks from, a sheep farmer. Thanks from KHSI. Thanks from Pennsylvania Sheep and Wool Growers for what you guys do. And we appreciate that you're allowing us to, promote these associations, promote our festival, and you'll be hearing more about that in the coming months as well. So thank you for what you do.
Sounds good.
Very good. Thanks again. Thanks again, folks, for listening to another episode of the Profitable Sheep and Goat Production Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Lost Creek Wholesale, your universal feeder, dealer, and distributor. If you're looking for options for sheep and goat feeding and handling equipment, visit our website, www.lostcreekwholesalellc.com. Thanks again, and we'll catch up with you next time.